How long is the opening?
I'll go.
Okay.
5 minutes.
Yeah, 5.
And do you want to see the timer or not?
Yes.
Oh,
It's actually for him.
Yeah, well.
Okay, we started up, both, yeah.
Yeah.
Ready?
Oh, I'm ready, if
Okay.
y'all are. Well, I'm Charley Riley, and I'm running for Montgomery County Commissioner, Precinct 2. I've been in Magnolia since I was 14 years old. I moved up here in 1971. I've been involved in numerous community activities ever since I was in high school. I think one of the most important things we can do for our community is give back to the community and serve in our community. I serve on numerous boards, civic association boards, Lions Club. I was a founding member of the Magnolia Education Foundation, the Magnolia Community Foundation. I've been, for the last 13.5 years, I've been working as the precinct operations manager for Precinct 2 under Commissioner Craig Doyle. I love this county, I love this town. I want to continue doing what I've been doing. I think that what I bring to the table is experience of knowing how to run the precinct, knowing what needs to be done in the precinct. For the last, like I say, for the last 13 years, I've managed the budget at Precinct 2. I've been doing the day-to-day operations of handling all the employees, all the equipment, all the material needs, anything that needed to be done in the precinct itself. It was under my jurisdiction to do that. I think that being a county commissioner, I would be able to move into that position and do the job. I think I'm doing the job now. The only thing I'm not doing right now is sitting on the court. And I don't mean that to be derogatory or a smart aleck or anything. That's just, I think that's what I'm doing. And I would love to continue what I'm doing. I love what I'm doing. I think I could make Montgomery County Precinct 2 and Montgomery County a better place. I think we've got a tremendous amount of growth headed this way. I think we need to help manage that growth. We need to keep an eye on our developers, our infrastructure, make sure that we do have the right developers in the right place, doing the right thing. And we've got all that in place. It just takes a little bit of enforcement, a little bit of staying on top of things, paying attention to what's going on. And I think we lack some of that in some places. Some of this stuff gets kind of pushed to the side, to the back burner, or gets pushed to the side. My daddy always told me, you take care of the little things, the big problems won't be there. And I kind of believe in that philosophy. If you got a set of guidelines and a set of standards that you need to hold people to and make people do the right thing, that's what you need to do. It's not cutting a little slack here and cutting a little slack there for some folks and turning your head, just going along to get along. That's not what this job's about. This job's about making the right decision, making the tough decisions, and I think I can do. Well, matter of fact, I know I can do that. I've been doing that. I've been doing that on the boards that I'm on now, and the organizations that I'm with. That's what I do now. So, other than that, I don't know what else I could tell you. I'll tell you a little bit about my family life. I've been married to my same woman for 36 years, my high school sweetheart. We got 2 kids and 4 grandkids, and I just love it up here. I love what I'm doing. I want to continue what I'm doing.
Okay. Why don't we go around this one, just one more, take it off.
talk about roads a little bit. How do you feel about HGAC, and what do you know about it, and how involved has precinct or the Commissioners Court been involved in it? How should they get involved in it? Or
I think for sure that Montgomery County needs to be represented at HGAC, and I think it needs to be a commissioner on that, sitting on that seat. I do know that Craig was on that seat for a while. As a matter of fact, he was the chairman of the HGAC for a year, I think a year. And I'm not all that familiar with HGAC. I know it's 13 counties, and there's a lot of money that comes into HGAC. And I think if you're not sitting there on that board or sitting down there at those meetings, we're going to miss out on a lot of things that we could get accomplished, and a lot of help from those folks. So yes, I do believe somebody needs to be there.
Kind of related to that same question.
I hope y'all could read that. I was kind of sloppy.
Oh, no, it's fine.
Okay.
You know, the question is this office currently fulfilling its obligations? And the first one was mobility.
Mhm.
And Larry was talking about, brought that up on HGAC. That was the first question that you answered. The second one was growth. And you indicated that we need positive development of homes and businesses to make Montgomery County a great place to live and work. What do you see as government's responsibility in that?
I see the county's responsibility in growth and is having a set of guidelines and what we want to see, and we've got those guidelines in place, that we want good development, we want infrastructure that will get people to come here, to get businesses to come here, they can get from point A to point B. One of the problems that I think we've had in the past, and I think that we still may have some of these problems, is not holding our developers and not holding our contractors to the standards that we've got set. I hate to say it, but sometimes you can probably see sometimes where if it's close enough. That's good enough. And I don't agree with that. I never have agreed with that. In my 13 and a half years here, I don't do business that way. If we've got a standard that we need to set to, and you know what that standard is, I don't believe you need to be coming to me telling me that you're close. You need to come to me telling me that you got it that way, and so we're all happy with it, and we can all live with it, and I don't have to deal with it after you're gone, spending everybody's money taking care of it, fixing it back up. That's the kind of development we need.
Okay. I thought there for a while you were going to steal my question, John. But my question is on the same area, growth. The way your answer that you just gave and the way your answer here reads, you think growth is definitely a good thing. So what about growth contributes to the quality of life in the county?
Well, I think growth is coming, whether it's a good thing or not, growth is coming. And I think if we get all these rooftops out here and you get all these people out here, that's just more that we have to deal with and we have to take care of. Because these folks are coming out here, they're wanting services. They're not going to just come out here and just live. They're going to want us doing things for them. But along with that, if you get these folks out here, we got to come up with a way to get businesses to come out here with them, so we can have. If we have businesses, it doesn't cost us near as much money to service a business as it does a residence, as far as taxpayers' money. I don't know the exact number, but there's something like $1.39 for every dollar spent that it cost us for a resident's home for services, versus something like 29 to 36 cents for a business for services. So if we get the services out here, along with the folks, keeping them in Montgomery County, spending their money here in Montgomery County, I think we're all better off for that.
Okay. And just as a footnote, you lost a year somewhere because you said you've been married 36. Your form says you've been married 37.
I think
Ken.
it's 37 in January. Did I put 37 on there? Sorry about that.
Trying to get him in trouble?
That's pretty low.
You know that we sent your wife a copy of it.
Don't tell me.
We like to help you out all the
I
time.
appreciate that.
Kind of going on that same line, under what conditions, if any, would you support tax abatements? So remember, you did say you would consider them in some cases.
I've never been involved, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you I have, with somebody wanting a tax abatement. I don't know. I do know somewhat how they work or how they're supposed to work. And I do know if somebody were to come in to me, into my office, with a plan, for a piece of property that we're collecting, I don't know, you know, you got so much property out here that's got, there's so many, not variances, there's so many ag exempts and timber exemptions and this and that. You're getting very little tax money off of it. And I'm not trying to say everybody needs to be paid more taxes. But if a guy were to come in here and wanting to buy 300 or 400 acres that we're getting $400 or $500 a year tax money off of, and is gonna bring a business here, and wants me to help him or the county help him get it here with some sort of tax abatement, I believe you have to look at all those ideas. And if you can get a business sitting on a piece of property that's paying very little in taxes, and this guy's gonna bring business, revenue, tax revenue, I think you have to look at those on an individual, step-by-step, individual case. I don't know enough about tax abatements, and I'm not gonna sit there and tell you I do, that I would either yay or no. It's one of those things that you have to get other people involved in it, and I think you have to get J.R. Moore involved in it, you have to get the county attorney involved in it. All those folks have to be involved in those things before anybody can make the right decision.
Right.
Say somebody comes to your office and they need help. They're in charge of their homeowners association, and somebody has informed them that the playground is not legal anymore. And so the homeowner association is faced with, it's just grass, a swing set, and it's grass. And somebody says, well, you can't have that anymore because the OSHA says it's got to have a certain kind of pavement, it's got to have chips, and we're talking $4,000, and you got to either rip it out, and nobody gets a playground. And these guys say, well, we're not interested in a $4,000 or $5,000 revamp of this thing. It's ridiculous. But we're afraid of some homeowner, taking advantage of the situation and suing us. So, what do you do for them?
What would I do for the homeowner association for the park?
Well, the HOA president comes in and says, I need some help. We've got this problem, it's a ridiculous problem.
Well,
What can you do, Charlie?
well, again, Brian, I've never been faced with something like that. I don't know, I can't sit here and tell you that I'd go in there and help anybody on private property, on their private property, doing anything, spending taxpayers' money, which is not legal. I do know that, if someone were to come to me with that, I would do everything I could to get them to the right people, see if we could if we could come up with a solution. If OSHA's breathing down your neck, OSHA, I'm not a big fan of OSHA. I'm not a big fan of anybody telling somebody else what they're can and can't do. I would just try to help you get to the right people, Brian. And if there was something that I could do, and I could legally do it and not get in trouble for doing it, I'd help you in any way I could.
Okay.
Well, I know you said you've been working for Craig Doyle, and basically doing most of the things in the precinct. I'm going to ask you a law enforcement question, because now, if anything, that's probably more important than our roads is public safety. Let's say you've got $5 million in your budget to deal with one of these two issues, but that's it. And the two issues are, the sheriff says he needs $5 million in order to have a task force to deal with an increase in cartel crime in our county. Bank robberies, phone stores, that kind of thing. At the same time, the constable comes up and says he needs $5 million, that $5 million, in order to have a task force to deal with an increase in child sex predators. So which do you choose and why?
I choose the sheriff's office.
And why would that be?
Because the sheriff's office is the sheriff's office is the top law enforcement agency for Montgomery County. They're on call, they're 24 hours, they're call responsive. They should be dealing with crimes, crime prevention, whatever they need to be doing.
What would you tell the constable to do?
I would tell the constable the constables need to be doing their civil job, they need to be serving papers, they need to be taking care of writs, taking care of hot checks, that type thing. And if they have time after that, then I'm all for them patrolling, trying to help with the crime situation. But
Okay.
the crime situation goes to the sheriff.
All right. The real quick question, hopefully quick answer, and that's dealing with the fact in the areas you've been working, since your precinct won't own an asphalt mine or a concrete mine, I'm wondering, why do you need to own the equipment to pave the roads? If they sit idle, that's wasted time, right? Can it be contracted out?
The payment of the roads.
The paving of the roads, maintenance, anything requiring a big old honking expensive piece of road
Right,
pavement
right,
equipment.
right.
If it sits idle, that's wasted money, right?
Understand.
Whereas if you contract it out,
We do contract out 90% of our paving, road paving.
and so you'll continue doing that?
Continue
you're saying?
doing that. But I put the pencil to it when I came to work for Craig.
Uh-huh.
And I put the pencil to it when I came to work. And I could find out that it would cost bare minimum amount more for them to do it than us do it. But when they do it, they assume all the insurance liability, all the responsibility, all the traffic control, they take all of it. We don't have to deal with any of it. I keep that equipment around because when we do have a major or an emergency, we go out and we take care of it. If something happens on a Saturday night, something happens on a Sunday, I have to have equipment that I can go
Do you
use.
think it's equipment your precinct has to have, or can it be a shared equipment group for all the precincts?
I really do believe that we need the equipment. I would hate to have something and somebody else have it tied up somewhere and I couldn't get done what I needed to get done.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. A few minutes ago, you said that one of the things you'd like to see done, a better job done, is hold the developers more to the rules and regulations and the standards. That indicates to me that you're talking about in your precinct or all the precincts or
I'm talking about countywide.
county? Because I was wondering if you were saying that in your precinct, the developers have not been held to the standards that they should.
No. I say that they will try anything they can try to get by, to save a little money, they're gonna try. And if you're not on top of them, and if you're not watching them, you're gonna miss it. And I'm gonna pat myself on the back because for the last 13 years, I don't think I've missed very much. Because I do hold them to that. I mean, that's my job. If we build a road that doesn't last but 2 years, I've not done anything for anybody. I've not done anybody anything.
All right, you mentioned, there's growth in your precinct, there's growth in the Woodlands, there's growth on the other side of the freeway. How do you understand that the Commissioners Courts divides the money that we get in from all the taxes that
How do I see they divide it?
yeah, how do they divide it?
Well, they go through the budget process every year, which I think needs to be revamped, myself personally. I think they ought to start having budget hearings sometime about February, March, instead of waiting until July to jump in there the week before they have a budget hearing and gather up and see how they're going to do it. When you take the money that comes in and you take the commissioners' precincts, they're all divided up by population. So sometimes I think that's good, and sometimes I don't really think that's all that good. Precinct 2's got 282 square miles, over 800 miles of road. It's one of the biggest precincts here. That's a lot to keep up with. And I'm not saying nothing about any other precinct, but there's some other precincts that doesn't have near that amount of road or near that amount of square mileage. that maybe it could be divided up a bit different. Now, when you have all these department heads that come to you, the week before the budget hearing starts, I think that's where we mess up. I think they need to be coming to us February, March, so we can see what they're talking about, what they really need, what they don't need, and it gives you time to figure out how they want to go about doing their business and what they do need and what they don't need. I keep going back to the same thing. They don't spend enough time on, they spend a lot of time on the budget hearing itself, but as far as preparing for the budget and talking to folks, I don't think they spend there enough time.
What are your thoughts in regards to toll roads?
I'm sorry?
What are your thoughts in regards to toll roads out here? You know, with the growth that's coming into the county, we're gonna need to increase our road capacity. So what do you think about toll roads like Tomball?
You know,
Toll Road, and the way that's set up?
I'm not crazy about toll roads, but I do understand that, you know, we have to deal with TxDOT. We have to deal with the folks in Austin to get things done. That's just how it is. And they've told us that, they made it pretty plain, pretty clear that if you build anything nowadays, it's gonna be a toll road. Again, I'm not too crazy about toll roads. I will tell you that 249 coming through Tomball, Magnolia, and up through Grimes County on up to Highway 6, I think that would be a great project for not only Montgomery County, Magnolia, of course, it's up through Grimes County. That's up to them how they deal with it. But if we don't build this toll road, if we don't have this toll road authority, you know, TxDOT says they're gonna build the road, and it's gonna be a toll road. So all that money all the money that come off that toll road, you can either let TxDOT have it, spend it wherever they want it, or we can collect it here in Montgomery County with our toll road authority and spend it here.
And who would control it then?
I'm
Toll
sorry,
Road Authority would
the
control it?
Montgomery County Toll Road Authority.
Appointed by who? Appointed by?
Brian, I'm not sure if that's Commissioner's Court that does that or not. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I had to find out. I don't know.
So what's your understanding of the toll road itself? Who's funding that? Is that
TxDOT.
TxDOT is funding that? But that's for tax dollars, right?
You're right, but we've got a match, and I don't know what it is. I don't know how big that match is or what it is.
Okay. All right. I'll circle back around to that question later.
Okay. One of the questions was, in light of the increased property valuations, will you vote to decrease the property tax rate? You answered, I will vote to decrease the property tax rate anytime all of our obligations are met. I don't know what all obligations you include in that. Do you include in that the debt? Because per capita debt in Montgomery County is outrageous. And if you wait for the debt to be reduced, you'll never reduce the property tax. So what is the right amount of debt for our county or your precinct to carry? How will you determine that? And what are you going to do if there's an apparent need and no money to fill it?
As far as the precinct, you know, the debt is countywide. I mean, I could not tell you. I guess I could go back and look up what the debt is for precinct 2, but the debt is countywide.
But when you vote on Commissioner's Court, your vote votes for the whole county.
Yes, yes. Well, that's how you have to. You have to vote for the whole county.
Right.
And the amount of debt, you know, I think the debt is somewhere around $370 million right now for Montgomery County. I know there's some folks that thinks it's way more than that. But I talk to our auditor periodically, and I asked that question the other day, and that's what I got from her. It's about $370 million according to her. Now, when all your obligations are met, well, the way I see that is when we come through our budget hearings and we've satisfied what we see as everybody's needs, and we see our debt service is paid, our, everything else is funded. If we've got money left over, I don't think we just need to give it away or put it somewhere just to have it over there. And we can lower the tax rate. I'm all for that, but I don't know how you go about lowering the tax rate with the population and the growth that we've got coming here. I don't know how you continue or how you can lower the tax rate until you see everything in front of you that you've got obligated and that you've got responsibilities for. I can't answer that question. Yes, I will do that, or no, I'll do that. I can't answer that.
Ken?
All right. One of the bigger challenges of a commissioner is deciding on the budget. So what are the three big areas that you think need to be adjusted in the budget? Up or down?
I'm sorry, a what?
But in the budget,
Uh-huh.
the three big areas that need to be adjusted, up or down?
Well, for sure, I think the sheriff's budget is the biggest budget we got. And if it were me, if I could do it, I would take the sheriff's budget completely out of the whole budget and have him a completely separate budget. I don't think there's any way, with as many divisions and as many departments and as many people, as much as he's got to deal with, that anybody can look at that budget, included in the whole budget, and tell you what's really there. So I think that budget needs to be completely separate from anybody else, a whole different thing. As far as anything else that I can see that we would do, y'all got to understand that I'm not privy in my job to be looking at all this, everybody's budget. I look at mine and I take care of mine at Precinct 2, so I make sure I don't do something I ain't supposed to do. So again, I won't know how to even begin to answer that until I'm privy to see everything the way everybody else is privy to see it.
So, I don't know how much you've heard, I'm sure you probably did that fire department, that fire station, $5 million one out there. It caused a little bit of a stink in that the people who made the decision were all appointed, I believe by the county commissioner. I went to Craig and said, why are we building this monstrosity in Magnolia, Texas? You know, Houston maybe, but come on. And his answer was, well, yeah, it's a Taj Mahal, but unless I hear complaints, you know, I don't get a vote. Well, I kind of said, well, yeah, you put everybody on the committee. You know, what do you mean you don't get a vote? So, you know, my conclusion was that the county commissioner did not really have an ear out for the taxpayer. That wasn't, you know, that wasn't the case. And where am I going with this question? Well, you know, I hate asking questions. Are you going to promise to give the conservatives a, you know, representation kind of question? But, you know, that's what the question really is. So I guess that's informing you of a position.
Who
So-
will you listen to?
So maybe let me turn the question a little bit to this. So that position has, you know, $290 million worth of money that has to be decided where, and that's a lot of power. And the old conservative principle is power corrupts, and the more power you get, the more corrupt you get. It's just by nature. So I think the begging force, and it's related to the other thing, is like, okay, people get in this position, what's going to prevent them from becoming too powerful? It's the concept. The whole conservative Tea Party gripe is we have centralized power. Power is too centralized and focused, and it needs to be distributed. Okay, so what are your thoughts, and how do we know that you're not gonna do the same stuff that the current person
I'll tell you this, Brian, and everybody sitting here. I'm not gonna do anything that's gonna mess up my reputation, my integrity, or anything that I've got, that I've worked so hard all of my life to get where I'm at right now. I won't be any different if I'm elected than I am right now, sitting right here today. If I don't know the answer, I'm gonna tell you I don't know the answer. If I do know the answer, I'm gonna tell you I know that. I'll tell you. If I don't know it, I'll try my best to find out. I'll do my best to appoint the best people that I can think of for these kind of positions. And I don't want to be powerful. I want the job to do what's right, to try to make Montgomery County a better place. I don't want anybody thinking I'm better than anybody else. I want to do what's right. I've always done what's right. That's all I've ever done throughout my whole life. I'm no better than anybody else sitting around here, and I won't be any better than anybody else. As far as the fire department or anybody wanting to do something like that, I think that once people are appointed to board, sometimes we kind of forget about them, kind of forget who's there. We don't even know who's there half the time. And I think there's some work that could be done on of changing that. I mean, it's pretty simple just to pick up the phone and call somebody and say, hey, why don't y'all come by the office for a while, let's talk. I mean, I don't know the last time anybody's been to an ESD board meeting. I don't have a clue. And yes, it is a Taj Mahal. I will say this, it's been put to use for some pretty good things as far as classroom training and place to vote and that type of thing, but
We're not $5 million worth. I mean,
I understand. All I can tell you, Brian, is I'll have an open door to anybody, anytime, anything they want to talk about. And if I can help you, I will. If I can't, I'll tell you I can't.
well, your job, you're in that role, and there's a million competing interests, you know, from the person that comes out of the county that's like, they want to be the last one to come to Montgomery County.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, they want the gates to go
Right.
and development to stop.
Right.
To the developer that, you know, let's widen the lanes and have the county pay for this turn lane into my subdivision and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So just, you know, you kind of have to, the county commissioners pick the direction the county goes, and the people pick the county commissioners, so therefore, you know, it's indirect thing, so.
Well, and again, that's what I'm talking about with developers and being on top of developers and being on top of things that are going on. You know, I don't have a problem in the world with somebody, it's a simple little thing you just said, of somebody wanting a turn lane. He developed it, he can help pay for the turn lane. He can either pay for all of it or some of it, they need to get involved. They're the ones making all the money. I mean, let's face it.
They hope, thanks.
Now, I know you've worked with the county for some time, so you've been pretty much in the thick of it. And I'll tell you, just speaking for myself, one thing that I would like to see would be some significant changes, not really business as usual. Let me tell you why. All 4 precincts basically generate the same or provide the same service, generate the same product, if you will. Now, if you had a company over selling something or making something in Montgomery County, they wouldn't divide it up 4 different ways and try to use 4 different sets of everything to try to provide the same service, produce the same product. So my question is there any hope with you as county commissioner that we might see that there would be something done more efficiently from the county perspective, rather than each precinct basically working and fighting for their piece of the pie?
You know, what you said is exactly true. We got 4 different precincts that are doing 4 different things.
Yeah.
They're not doing anything, nobody's doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
They're not doing anything alike. I will say that I would not want to be part of what they call the unit system. And I think you got close to that a while ago. Where
Yeah.
you know, having the equipment at one place and having a road boss or whatever.
That's just the equipment, sure.
But, you know, there's just no way you could, I don't think you could get things done that way. And I do want to make changes in Precinct 2, and I will make a lot of changes in Precinct 2. I've got them, I don't know.
What about the rest of the county? I mean, you're a vote on the board for countywide, right?
Right. There is some changes that could be made. And again, I'm sitting here trying to think of something that we could all be doing the same. I don't know where you're going. I don't know how to answer that.
Like, for example,
Yeah, try to help me out if you can.
Well, every precinct needs a road built. They probably couldn't justify they all need it today.
Mhm.
They may need it in a year's time. So why can't it be arranged, you know, that they take turns as to which road gets built? I'll give you another example. We know in Precinct 4, there's going to be a huge amount of growth, commercially speaking, just like what you're talking about. Roads are going to have to go in. Precinct 2, probably a little quiet, relatively speaking, in the near term. Now that's going to change because Precinct 3 is pretty much built out, that sort of thing. So we still run it as separate pieces of the pie. Everybody's going to have competing interests. It doesn't sound to me like it's going to be coordinated. It doesn't sound to me like it's going to appear, much less be, run very efficiently or, in my mind, professionally.
Well,
Does that explain what I'm saying? No?
not really.
All right. That's fair. Okay.
I really don't know.
Well, the initial premise was, it looks like from what you're saying, you're going to continue, you do things a little bit differently your way, but it does sound like it'll be business as usual. You're welcome to correct me.
Well, I don't want anybody to think it's going to be business as usual just because that's the way it's always been done. I think I know what I want to do at my precinct. Now I can't speak for these other guys. I'm not there. I can't speak for what these other guys do. But I know what I want to do. I want to do things different at my precinct.
let me ask this question.
Yes.
So say you've got a road piece of equipment and you need it for the emergencies, and but you're not going to need it for the next month and a half during an emergency. Will you give it to Precinct 4
Yes.
and say, hey, you take this for a month. If I need an emergency, I need it right on the spot.
We do that all the time. We do that now.
Okay. So that solves his problem.
We do that now. If I need a piece of equipment, I don't have it, I can call Precinct 3, Precinct 4, 1, whoever. And we swap equipment around now.
Well, it's just that it's very obvious because you're very focused on Precinct 2, and I understand that. But I'd hope that you and the other commissioners would see that there is a benefit to knowing what the others are doing. I mean, otherwise you're never going to have opportunity. You'll be missing opportunities of efficiency, opportunities of doing things better. And the roads don't start and end in Precinct 2. They go somewhere.
I understand that. And I do understand that. And we do, we do.
I mean, you do public safety countywide, right?
Yes.
You don't go to the sheriff and just worry about your
No,
precinct too.
No.
Why is everything else so different?
I don't know why everything else is so different, other than, here we go again, that's the way Precinct 4 has always done it.
Right.
And that's the way we've done it. Could we all sit down and say, hey, this is how we need to all be trying to do it? I'd be more than willing to do that.
Well, you do talk about a plan. You don't mean a county plan. You're just talking about better planning for Precinct 2?
On that question?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, I was talking about Precinct 2.
Oh, okay.
Okay, explain what you know about certificates of obligation and how should they really be used?
Certificate of obligations, from what I understand, are to be used for emergency situations, or they can be used for practically, I think, just about any kind of situation, I think.
Well, they have been here. That's certainly true.
And I don't know, again, I don't know enough.
Is that ethical? Is that ethical?
Is,
You should use a CO for any and everything ethical.
I don't
For
know, no,
non-emergency.
I don't think so, no.
Okay.
And again, I gotta sit there and see what we're trying to do, I gotta know what we're trying to do, I gotta know why somebody wants to do that before I can say yes or no.
Is to widen the road.
What might be an emergency to you might not be an emergency
So
to
is to
me.
widen Rayford Sawdust, say you were in precinct 3 or 4, wherever the Rayford, 45 bottleneck is that
Mhm.
is that an emergency?
No,
What do you know about Agenda 21?
nothing.
Okay,
Pat's exercise.
Do I need to know anything about Agenda 21?
yes, you
I
did.
think
You sit in the commissioner's chair, you better.
Pat's exercise executive privilege here, so we're gonna kick it over her. She's got a question.
If you're elected, will be my precinct, I'm precinct 2. I live one street off of the thoroughfare that went through our section. It was so badly needed, right? Fish Creek thoroughfare.
Mhm.
It's been nothing but a racetrack. We've had to hire additional police in our subdivision. We're a horse community. The horse trails cannot be used now because there's a racetrack going through the middle of our subdivision. There's already been a chemical spill.
Mhm.
There's already been a death. There was numerous traffic tickets given on that street because the speed is much too great to go through a residential. What can you do? Because they're gonna widen it. They've already,
They're
they've
tearing down the
already
bridge
said
they
you're
just
fixing
built.
to. No, well, they better not tear down the bridge they just built.
They're gonna do what now?
It's already scheduled to be widened. They're starting to widen the first part from 1488
1488 up to,
up
Up
to
to
the
the
Honey
s-
Egypt,
yeah.
to the split there.
right.
And then they're gonna come back later and go ahead and do the next set of lanes through the subdivision.
There's no telling when that'll be. I mean, who knows?
It's a racetrack.
You know, that, here we go again, you got a 35-mile-an-hour speed limit through Sendera Ranch, then it goes to 45 up to Montgomery Trace. People are not gonna, people don't drive the speed limit no matter where, and all I could do is try to get with the sheriff's office and to get more patrols on Fish Creek thoroughfare through, from 2854 up to 1488.
Because all of the subdivisions off of that were originally horse communities.
Mhm.
And the trails, that the money that was spent by the developer and by our subdivisions to build those trails are all just money down the drain now.
Mhm.
So it's completely turned around the whole thing, and it is a problem, it's a safety hazard. But please don't put street lights out.
Don't put what?
Don't put street lights. I don't want any street lights.
Okay. All right.
I wanted to live in the country, but anyway,
Put the speed bump up.
they need, but speed bumps would be nice, actually controlling the speed, and actually, why 45 there? I think Craig told me when they originally brought the drawings out, that the speed limit would not be any greater than 35 all the way through, and it's already 45 in the big area. That means that they go 65 then.
Oh, I know.
And the trucks are the big
I
part.
drive it, so
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking
And
about.
now we're just having such big trucks go up and down it, so it's just, it's a bit much. They shouldn't be allowed to go through residential.
We have 15 minutes left.
But if I can actually follow up on that real quick.
Yeah.
So the flip side of that, okay, if not 45, 35, why not 25 or 15? What's the policy in setting speed limits like that?
The policy is that's under the engineer's office who goes out and they'll ride the road, they'll survey the road, and they've got criteria that they have to meet through TxDOT, where they can change the speed limit up, raise it, lower it.
So you have no control?
Who?
So you have no
The county commissioner.
county commissioner has no way to, influence that at all?
Well, he can influence, but you have to meet certain criteria before you can do anything. If you don't, it's not legal. I mean, you
Well,
couldn't.
Well, the criteria doesn't have any room for maneuvering. Like it's definitely 35, it can't be 45, or it can't be 25?
Oh, yes, there's maneuverable room. Like if you wanted to go down to 30, where you're at, just a simple request, our office, and we'll see if we can get that done. Same thing up on Montgomery Trace. If you wanted to go from 45 to 40 or 35, again, you have to go through the procedures to get that done.
Yeah, so you become the
Growth is
referee
good.
of differing people's objectives and,
Right.
you know, agendas.
So, but that relates back, so who's in charge? Is it the engineer designing it the way it should be? Or is it the people who live there who don't drive through? But the road is a through road. The road isn't there to serve the locals, it's
Right.
there to serve the region.
Right.
There are people from Houston to Lake Conroe, and it's a speedway.
And
Yes,
It's a speedway.
and the road is designed for a certain speed limit that can be changed going through the proper channels.
But if nobody obeys the speed limit to begin with, then changing the speed limit is not a solution.
Well, enforcement is.
And
It's
how do you
No, it's
get,
not.
how do
No,
you
it's
get
not.
the trucks on?
It can be.
They're not
no,
tearing
it's
it up.
not. You change the design of the road to
Yeah.
force people to
I mean,
drive
the trucks
slower.
are just tearing it up, and I understand the construction
Or
people
Mhm.
and that sort of stuff. but
Which
they're
means you don't
going
have a
too
through road
fast.
anymore.
Right.
Now you have all
It
sorts
is
of traffic.
dangerous.
Add some stop signs.
And again, if you lower the speed limit, they're not gonna obey the speed limit until
35
you
miles
figured
an
out
hour,
some way
That's the
to
slowest
stop them.
speed limit I ever saw in that area.
Well, when you consider the kind of street it is, that if you're on a horse, and you cannot go across there anymore. I mean, that's what that whole subdivision
You
was.
have to keep your
built
horse
for.
under 35.
What
And it
if
used to all
you,
be one subdivision.
what if you changed to mules? Would that help?
I know we have a lot more dead deer now, which is okay with me, but, okay.
I like deer.
You like them?
10 minutes left.
Oh, I can get
Back
your
to,
house. You can have my
We'll
shit.
take them,
Okay.
drop them off.
back to COs, certificate of obligations. Brian brought up a scenario on Rayford and Precinct 3. What about Woodlands Parkway extending through your precinct?
Mhm.
That would, what's your opinion of that? And would you use certificate of obligations to maybe get property to build that road all the way to the toll road? Because that would certainly benefit a lot of people. It might benefit people that live on anywhere in the Woodlands that have to commute down that way, you know, to Compact, Noble Energy, all that, you know, HB. What about using COs to do that, to get that done so that, I mean, everybody wins?
Again, from what I know about COs, they are emergency type funds, and that's still not an emergency as far as I'm concerned. Does the road need to go through there? Yes, but I believe if the time comes where we have to go out and try to sell bonds to get certain roads built, to get things done, if it's absolutely necessary to do that, that road should be included in that. And if it's voter approved to do that, then we will build the road. But selling COs to buy property or to get that road through, I don't think that's the thing to do.
Would you require the plan before voting on the bond? Well, let's say you have a plan, but precinct 3 does not, or precinct 4 does not. Would you vote for getting a bond or against it?
If I had
only-
what now?
Or let's say you want like the 200 million they had recently. And your road plan is in place, so everybody knows where the money's gonna go. Precinct 4's is not. They just, who knows, for whatever, they might use for roads. Would you vote for that bond or against it? in the
I wouldn't
court?
even let it go out until everybody knew what we were doing.
Okay.
And I think, I think that's one of the reasons that the bond didn't pass last time. I mean, I knew what I wanted to do, but nobody else did.
Maybe not.
Is it back to
We're at that
Brian?
threshold.
Okay.
No, John asked the
No.
last question.
No, it's actually
Great.
to Dell, but we've got, we got a
I can ask it in less than 30 seconds.
firework.
He give you 30 seconds.
Joe Corey Jail got sold recently. Got a windfall out of that. Some of that got divvied up and sent out to each precinct. What's precinct 2 gonna do with their windfall?
Right now, what we're doing with it is, I'm trying to think of what,
Do you have some shovel-ready projects waiting?
I got one, but I can't remember,
Sometimes it's not Fish Creek thoroughfare.
drawing a blank on what that, there's one that we want to work on, and I can't, it is Fish Creek. It is Fish Creek. At the new school, at the new elementary school, we want to widen that road, take that 4 lanes past that school, so we don't have a bottleneck or some kind of accidents in front of that school. So that's part of what we're gonna do with some of that money.
Okay, what else for the rest?
The rest?
Or is that gonna take all?
Oh, no, that's not gonna take off, no, nowhere near that, no. And right now, no, I don't have any plans for it right now.
So the 249 toll road, never was voted on by the people, taxpayers. Hopefully, the people who made the decision, made the right decision for a whole bunch of people, and they're not gonna, get upset. Is that right or wrong, or? They didn't turn the section already built in because there were 800 people at Tomball High School when they were about a mutiny, if anybody did
They didn't turn what in now?
The existing highway that was built with taxpayer dollars,
Uh-huh.
there were 800 people that went to Tomball High School, or